All right, all right. Hello, everyone, and now welcome to Game 2 in this series, HawK versus Dise. This game taking place here on Twisted Meadows. Gonna go ahead and speed things up to 4 times speed to get to that 2-minute mark. If you guys remember, if you guys haven't seen Game 1 yet in this series, why not? I mean, this is even labeled Game 2. And go ahead and check out Game number 1 first. Anyways, Game 2 in this series, spoiler alert, HawK taking Game 1 and now moving on to Game 2 here on Twisted Meadows. Couple of things to note. I know my overlay is not 100% working still, but at least heroes will pop up and you'll be able to see those items a little bit more clearly. Hoping that eventually things get cleaned up a little bit more as we're looking at a Mountain King going up against a Warden matchup here on Twisted Meadows. A bit interesting to see a little bit non-standard heroes at least on this particular matchup here, as a Wisp is now being pulled back around. We are going to be seeing a surround with a bunch of those Militia, Forest Troll, Shadow Priest out here on the battlefield. The Mountain King's Stormbolt and that Warden's Shadow Strike, both very effective at taking out this early Forest Troll Shadow Priest. That may be the MO, as that Forest Troll Shadow Priest does provide a lot of hit points, a lot of utility early on with that abolish magic as well. Mountain King getting up to level 2 does have that wand of mana stealing, able to steal 60 mana from the target. Meanwhile, the Warden, what has it picked up? It's picked up Scroll of the Beast and a Ring of Protection +3. Not the consumable item that I believe the Mountain King or the Warden were looking for, but they will just have to make do. Now, heading back off to the north here, going to clear out this 3-3-1 creep camp. Should be a relatively easy creep camp to clear up. Going after that Null Warden first. The Forest Troll Shadow Priest already down to 200 or the sub 100 mana, but has kept these units alive fairly well. Coming back across on the other side, the 5-3-1 creep camp. That Null Overseer getting cleared up as the Warden picks up Claws of Attack +4. Disregard that +5. Now, as that Warden hopes to head back, perhaps get a little bit of healing going, Mountain King now making his rounds, and HawK once again going to be going for that expansion. And hence not going after that 5-3-1 creep camp, going after the 3-3-1 creep camp, as we see a quick Stormbolt lay down onto that Ogre Magi there. Ogre Magi going to be able to get off one Bloodlust, maybe a second one. No, doesn't get a second one off. Does pick up a Circlet of Nobility, interestingly enough. I thought the Circlet of Nobility was removed from the map pool. Perhaps this is an older replay, hence the reason why the overlay doesn't quite work. Anyways, coming back through here, Mountain King now looking to retreat back once more. Town Hall Scout Tower being placed down here. Mountain King purposely going to stay nearby for just a little bit. Perhaps going to land a Stormbolt down onto that Warden there, as the Warden does get a blink off. All right, big fan of knives across the board already, as we see the Stormbolt go down onto that Warden now. Warden, are we going to see a Lucky Bash perhaps prevent that Warden from being able to do all that much? But the Bash actually starts to trigger that Shadow Meld there, as the Forest Troll Shadow Priest a bit low on mana. Are we going to see any additional heals here? Perhaps a Footman can come back around on the other side. There's a blink. Are we going to see a Stormbolt? No Stormbolt, oddly enough. There's the Stormbolt now, as there was plenty of time to get the Stormbolt off, and there's a Staff of Teleportation. Are we going to see a Lucky Bash? No, we are not. 45 hit points and able to back away. Wand of Mana Stealing by that Mountain King was not used. And, well, if he had used that Wand of Mana Stealing, perhaps it would have stopped one of those fans of knives, allowing the Warden, or preventing the Warden from being able to get away so easily. Warden now going to go ahead and clear out this top left-hand side. There is a Footman out here trying to chase down after a Wisp. Going to quickly be greeted by Dise. Dise is, well, Warden, Forest Troll Berserkers, and a Forest Troll Shadow Priest, as tech to tier 2 is already completed by Dise. Meanwhile, no surprise, HawK still sitting at tier 1, as this expansion is not yet up and operational. Has been started, but not operational. All right, coming back through, Warden pretty much just baiting that Mountain King to try and get off a Stormbolt so that it can blink out of its range. Meanwhile, the Mountain King still wandering around here, making sure that there is not an expansion over here on the 9 or 10 o'clock position. dual Force Troll Berserkers. That 28 to 30s damage this early in the game does make quite a big difference here as units are still wandering around here. Are we going to see a big fan of knives? Yes, we are. No Stormbolt. There's that Stormbolt finally able to get it. It feels like HawK has been trying to land Stormbolts and has not been able to do so easily. One, a mana stealing should be used here to try and prevent that mana, perhaps prevent the blink. Yes, beautiful use right there. Using the one, a mana stealing to prevent the blink and then once the blink was removed from the equation, forcing that Scroll of Town portal. So a big win right there, forcing the Scroll of TP. It may need to be repurchased, 350 gold. Coming back down to the south side here. Well, Town Hall halfway to tier 2. We are getting up a lumber mill, an arcane vault, blacksmith perhaps being set up at the expo. And I really like this play. If you guys have not started adding this into your own human expos, one of the main things that are strong about human expos is the SimCity, the buildings surrounding your towns. You're able to maneuver in and out of those positions, and overall it just makes it much more difficult. By building your blacksmith at your expo, it reduces the amount of surface area on your town hall, so raiders aren't able to really dive in nearly as much, and they'll be forced to soak up more damage from these towers. Coming back around, Mountain King already sitting at level 3 here, has been there for quite some time, going to be picking up a Belt of Giant Strength. Forest Troll High Priest quickly going to get cleaned up there, as what is going to go down here, perhaps picking up a Tome, Ring of Protection +3 temporarily dropped, Scroll, one a mana stealing may be sold for a Scroll of Regeneration, and then going back to pick up that Ring of Protection +3 a little bit later. All right, there we are. No, one mana stealing still picked up here. There's a blink by the Warden. Are we going to see a Stormbolt here? Yep, there's a Stormbolt. It was still on cooldown. Mountain King comes in. No bash there. Going to go ahead and blink away. There's a big fan of knives across all of those units once more, and a new Scroll of Regeneration will be needed. All right, we are at tier 2. Perhaps Arcane Sanctum will be placed down here momentarily. That is a lot of towers. I don't see masonry upgrades, though, as the Mountain King, well, once more going to be using that Scroll of Regeneration and also using up a Clarity Potion as well. Meanwhile, the Warden, I can't quite tell if the one mana stealing charge was sold or used against that Warden, since there was a visit back at these Moonwells. Once more, there goes a Stormbolt, but the Stormbolt was beautifully dodged by Dise again, and now going to go ahead and clean up some of these footmen. Are we going to perhaps see another blink and then get in a little bit more damage? There's a big fan of knives again, cleaning up that Forest Troll, Shadow Priest, and a footman again. That Warden nearing level 5 already. We are at tier 3 with a solo Warden. So this Warden is nearly at level 5 and nearly at level 5, well on its way to level 6, going up against still a level 3 Mountain King now. All right, Mountain King still heading, or Warden now heading back. Overall supply counts 41 over 60, going up against 44 over 60 as a Paladin going to be that secondary hero. Mountain King trying to clean or stop this entangled goldmine. We may see a little bit of an engagement. Warden with that Orb of Venom doing some additional damage over time as well, as that entangled goldmine, looks like it will get up and operational. Mountain King does have Boots of Speed to keep pace with the Warden. There is another Stormbolt again. The Warden cannot win out on this fight, as, well, fan of knives, not as powerful as a Stormbolt against, well, single targets, obviously. All right, a little bit more damage there. There goes a Stormbolt trying to clean up some of those wisps. Are we going to see, yes, level 4 now on that Mountain King Warden? Well, not going to be able to stop that Mountain King and that Staff of Teleportation. Panda is out here on the battlefield sitting at level 2. I think that happened right as the Warden got to level 5. So making sure that the Brewmaster is able to continue to do some creeping, while the Warden gonna perhaps use an anti-magic potion and perhaps use some fan of knives. HawK already in preparation, having a Goblin Zeppelin at the main base to try and pick up all of those peasants. In comes the Warden now. In comes the Blink. Warden already, well, being forced to back away, as the Goblin Zeppelin, well, safely holding all of that cargo and keeping that target, or keeping keeping those targets safe. New Expo by HawK now sitting up on the bottom left-hand side of the map. Twisted Meadows, a map for a great amount of expos, as we see a big anti-magic or a big fan of knives used there. Peasant after peasant going to get taken down. Warden going to get, well, gonna get a little bit more kills. Again, there's another fan of knives trying to finish things off, and you can see all of those guard towers and that arcane tower making short work on the health bar of that warden. Mounting or Panda now already sitting at level 3, has a Kagar's Gem of Health to follow up. Brewmaster already sitting at 1100 or nearly 1200 hit points, as the Warden, well, needs to figure out what to do next. Both places have defense against that Warden's harassment. HawK being very proactive to be on to keep all of those workers safe, as we see a quick staff of preservation to bring that Goblin Shredder back home to collect a bit more lumber. 570 gold compared to 32 lumber, as the Warden now looking to back up here. Brewmaster may even get to level 4 here, and that is going to be one tanky Brewmaster adding in a belt of giant strength. 450 additional hit points between those items alone, and a level 3 Brewmaster with a lot of hit points going to be able to tank a lot of that front part damage. Warden blinking past here. And now, well, perhaps going to try and scout out any of these additional expansion locations as well. Will Dise find this 6 o'clock location and realize that he is no longer even on bases? Yes, he will. Warden, are we going to perhaps see a blink fan of knives? Yes, there's a fan of knives right there. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. Mountain King, Staff of Teleportation inbound, as the Warden could be in a lot of trouble. So are we going to see a Stormbolt? No, we are not. Mountain King unable to land a Stormbolt in time, as that Warden quickly dances away. Staff of Teleportation will be able to head back around as the Knight sees the teleporting Warden head away. Brewmaster up to 1400 hit points. Warden quickly getting rejuvenated back at home. May need a little bit more mana as well, as we see a Clarity Potion to try and top off some of that mana. All right. Siege engines also on the move, making their rounds out across the battlefield. HawK, well, trying to put pressure with these siege engines, perhaps take down some of these buildings off to the north, as we could be looking at a potential engagement down to the south here. Sundering Blades, Warden going to be coming back across. There's a bash onto an archer there. There's a big fan of knives. Are we going to see some, well, Breath of Fire finishing off what the fan of knives started, as that is a fair amount of AoE damage. Staff of Sanctuary saving a unit there. Are we going to see another fan of knives used here? There we are, finishing off some more units, as a low hit point Knight could get taken down. Are we perhaps going to see a blink onto that front side Knight? This Knight getting in the way here. There's a blink, there's a fan of knives, and multiple Knights could get taken down. Slow poison preventing that Knight from being able to get away easily. Orb of Venom, well, and that slow poison, well, really dishing out a lot of damage. All right, Rune Bracers greatly reducing the amount of damage that Stormbolt did. On top of that, remember that Brewmaster has 1400 hit points. He is not going to be falling easily anytime soon. However, one Druid of the Claw now being left behind here. Not quite sure if Dise realizes this, as the Warden, well, has trying to clean things up down to the south. All right, action all across the map here. Brewmaster once again back out onto the battlefield. There is another Holy Light. Druid of the Claw down to, well, 319 hit points. No Staff of Preservation there, as the Mountain King, well, trying to save this Paladin. Paladin's still trying to retreat back here. Dryads could be using a little bit of slow poison. And remember, Orb of Darkness does create those lesser dark minions, so that will cause a little bit of problems. There's a little bit of Drunken Haze. There's a fan of knives trying to rack in a little bit more damage again. There's, well, the Druid of the Claw retreating back into that Druid form and getting in a rejuvenation as well. Drunken Haze, Holy Light breaking that Blood Mage Siphon mana, as that Warden just shy of level 6. Anti-Magic Potion blink, fan of knives, avatar of vengeance. Waiting for it there. Are we going to see the anti-magic potion? Yes. Oh, there it is. There's level 6. Are we going to see some damage? Yes, we are. There's the avatar of vengeance, and the spirit of vengeances are going to be completely immune to damage, able to perhaps clean up all of these towers, as the warden now absorbing quite a bit of damage as well, trying to finish off these towers and finish it off quickly while generating up more spirit of vengeances. Though avatar of vengeance needs to get a bit closer to really crank those units out. Meanwhile, top left-hand side, the siege engines getting cleaned up by these druids of the claw as well. All right, beautifully done, beautifully played, as the paladin now trying to push on in here. The avatar of vengeance trying to keep its distance. Are we going to perhaps see the spirit of vengeance is going after some of these knights? No, arcane tower going to get cleaned up, just trying to clean up what they can, and well, another tower going to get taken down, and once that avatar of vengeance is gone, poof goes those spirits. Big damage, however, was dealt. Panda also getting very close now to level 5. Level 3 Breath of Fire could potentially become a problem, as well as Druids of the Claw are now making their rounds over as well. Siege Engine down to 420 hit points. A little bit of damage going to rack up here. Units just trying to retreat back, as we see a new Tree of Life by Dise at the 9 o'clock location. Eventually going to make their way back over. Spirit of Vengeance, or no Avatar of Vengeance, but the Warden still a one-woman wrecking crew, able to rack up quite a bit of damage, already halfway up to level 6, as the Warden now looks to back away again. There goes that Siege Engine, as the Paladin, Mountain King, and Blood Mage trying to make work and perhaps get higher up in level as well. Warden sitting at level 6, perhaps going to blink their way over. No, there's a quick Shadow Meld there. Tome of Intelligence going to be left behind for the Warden. A little bit more mana overall, as the Paladin does get to level 3. Warden, Siphon Mana. Are we going to see a blink? No. We see a bash there. There's the bash. There's the blink finally, and the Warden really losing quite a bit of mana, being forced to retreat back. Meanwhile, Siege Engines trying to take down the Tree of Life purposely uprooting, and by uprooting, losing that fortified armor, untangling the gold mine, but now taking reduced damage from these Siege Engines. All right, Brewmaster gonna get, well, at least more than a quarter of the way to level 6 now, so we may even be looking at Earth, Storm, and Fire in the not too far distance. Dise also expanding at the starting location at the 2 o'clock spot to try and even up the overall economy. HawK still cranking out units from these triple workshops, and could easily start to mortar teams here, as he now is researching fragmentation shards. Warden keeping the entire human army busy, and this seems to be a battle on multiple fronts. The Warden, the one-woman army, able to just constantly cause problems and abolish magic, finishing off some of those skeletal minions easily for that Warden to get a bit more experience. Meanwhile, Siege Engine still on the move here. Panda, well, not going to be able to get any additional experience here, but will be able to get that gold and perhaps some decent items as well. Ogre Magi down to 248 hit points. It will end up falling, as we're looking at the Knights and the Heroes leading the charge against the top right. Ancient of Wars are in position. There's some Mud Golem Stormbolt onto the Druid of the Claw. Druid of the Claw could easily get taken down. Staff of Teleportation inbound. In comes the Panda. Panda trying to get a Drunken Haze off. Gets a Drunken Haze off. There's a Breath of Fire across multiple units. There's a Fan of Knives and the Avatar of Vengeance joining in on the battle. Warden, yes, uses the anti-magic potion to stop the Siphon Mana, and now the Siphon Mana may go down onto the Panda, as there was a quick Drunken Haze Breath of Fire. Avatar of Vengeance quickly getting surrounded by the Knights, but the Avatar of Vengeance able to back away as it gets a rejuvenation as well. So much damage absorbed by that Avatar of Vengeance, only to have it back away, as the Druids of the Claw are now getting finished up. All right, big Scroll of Healing used on the Knights, as the Warden could be in trouble, down to 173 hit points. It's going to try and back up. Staff of Teleportation, the Mountain King, no Stormbolt inbound, as the Avatar of Vengeance is about to fall. Avatar of Vengeance falls, as well as the Mountain King still somehow able to fight back against these multiple heroes. Brewmaster being forced to retreat back, and now it is the Ancients of War going up against these knights, as Dise is, well, fully saturated on the gold mine once again. Panda very low on mana. Warden comes across with another big fan of knives. I don't believe there's any more scrolls of healing here, as HawK quickly decides that he needs to retreat back out. Does not want to feed experience to the Night Elf army. 69, or Night Elf Hero, 69 supply compared to 76. Staff of Sanctuaries doing their thing, healing up, keeping these knights in play. Saving one knight actually recovers the cost of that Staff of Sanctuary pretty much immediately, and then add in the fact that you are denying experience to your opponent after they waste so much time trying to deal 900 plus damage to a 13 armor unit, and you realize how much time was really wasted. Coming back through, Warden, well, quickly gonna shut down this peasant here. A little bit of damage over time. One more final swipe in the back. Warden still sitting at level 6, but will be able to get to level 3 Blink here, which could unlock, well, even more opportunities for that Warden to just duck and dodge the human army. Druids of the Claw now trying to retreat back here. Brewmaster, are we going to see an Ogre Warrior getting cleaned up? Meanwhile, Mountain King is trying to clean out the Forest Troll Warlord. Are we going to see some Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire? Oh, there's a Thunderclap stunning the Brewmaster before Breath of Fire could go down. No Staff of Preservation, as the one Druid of the Claw down to 110 hit points, trying to retreat back with a bit of rejuvenation. All right, Panda once more out of mana, needs to be able to deal damage towards these knights, as the Blood Mage constantly siphoning mana on the Brewmaster, neutralizing that threat. All right, Brewmaster was saved here. Mountain King gonna perhaps try to get a bash or a Stormbolt onto that Druid of the Claw, finishing it off. All right, meanwhile, Warden still cleaning up peasant after peasant. One more peasant could easily get taken down. Perhaps a Fan of Knives to just finish them off. Yeah, there it goes. Both taken down. Meanwhile, Dryads retreating back here. Siege Engines trying to take down this Tree of Life. Tree of Life, Dise sitting at high upkeep, 84 over 100, as there are multiple bases. Big Fan of Knives going to finish off some of those mortar teams, or at least deal strong initial damage, as the Druids of the Claw are showing up onto the battlefield. We need to see some rejuvenations. Big Scroll of Healing used by HawK across multiple knights here, as damage is still racking up. Panda unable to get that much going, as now the Mountain King is just constantly using Thunderclap very aggressively and doing a great job. Now, Tree of Life trying to get repaired. It could get uprooted here in just a moment, as the Siege Engine about to get taken down. Ancient of Wars also getting cleaned up by the knights and some of these heroes as well, as the Roar unable to affect those Dryads. Brewmaster, Scroll of Town Portal to try and save his own skin, able to back away, but now opens up against that Tree of Life itself. All right, Avatar of Vengeance should be able to crank out at least a handful of Spirit of Vengeances, as the knights are constantly getting saved by Staff of Sanctuary. Are we going to see any more regeneration? The Tree of Life down to 23 hit points, but somehow holding steady at this point and stage. One more attack would be enough. The Knights finally going to get in that engagement there, as the Brewmaster, Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire going to finish off the Blood Mage in time, as all of these, well, all of these Druids of the Claw need to heal back up. Main Tree of Eternity, well, on the move to perhaps establish up this base off over here. We are now 2 bases mining, going up against 1. This base over here by Dise mining pretty easily. 82 supply compared to 73. HawK definitely having the economic advantage, getting 14 gold a second compared to Dice's, well, now 7. 3-3 upgrades on the flying machines, the riflemen, and all, 3-0 upgrades on the riflemen and mortar teams. 3-3 upgrades on those knights. Those knights able to make, well, close in on that distance, as the main portion of Twisted Meadows pretty much complete. Actually, no, absolutely. All of the creeps in the main portion of the map are now gone. HawK now trying to transition over, and even though we are now dealing with a level 7 Warden, it feels like the army of HawK is doing the majority of the work. Add in those Staff of Sanctuaries and those knights with level 2 Devotion Aura so difficult to take out. We are looking at 47% damage reduction, and this is without Inner Fire, as that's easily removed by Dryads with their Abolish Magic. Both sides looking to engage here. Mortar Team, Siphon Mana trying to, well, drain that Warden just a bit more. Human Army working together, as we're going to see a little bit of Siphon Mana back into that Paladin again, perhaps to get a Holy Light onto that Spellbreaker. All right. Avatar of Vengeance, 40-second cooldown before it is back online. Perhaps that is what Dise is waiting for to try and engage. Panda sitting here at level 6. There's a Breath of Fire blowing things over, and now taking a Stormbolt. Staff of Preservation saves from the Warden, and now backing away again. So that Panda now just shy of level 6. Perhaps wants to use up a Clarity Potion, as well as we're looking at the Tree of Eternity, looking to entangle this gold mine here and get back up to 2 base operational. Knights now going after here as well, and we do see Vampiric Aura from these Knights. So Vampiric Aura from the Knights, that Vampiric Aura coming in from the Blood Mage, and the Knights really making quick work of that Tree of Life, even with the improved armor. All right. Knights, their high mobility Spellbreakers throw in the Blood Mage's Siphon Mana, and well, that Mountain King's Thunderclap constantly slowing down that frontline Druid of the Claw army, allowing the Knights to go to work. 33 to 53 damage as well on these Knights, and the Knights with Vampiric Aura just seemingly able to trade blows against this Night Elf army fairly well. Meanwhile, Brewmaster is going to get to level 6. There's a Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire, not going to be able to finish off any of those targets, and now still just shy of level 6 after all this time. Mountain King is going to be able... Oh, wow! That Knight was literally down to 2 hit points. Spears inbound, which would have given level 6 to the Brewmaster. Instead, now just needs to wait for another Staff of Sanctuary charge before that Knight is ready, really going to be healed up again. Back off to the north here, Siege Engine attempting to take down this Tree of Eternity. Brewmaster looking to finish it off here. Goblin Shredder of Dise joining in on the battle to try and take down this Siege Engine. Siege Engine, however, still able to back away. Coming back across here. Come on, Staff of Sanctuary. What's the cooldown on Staff of Sanctuary? That Knight should be teleporting back already, unless all three cooldown was already actively being used, or the Paladin should at least try to get a Holy Light off on that Knight there while there's a little bit of time. Engagement getting ready, underway. There's the Avatar of Vengeance. Here we are. Here we go. Battle getting on. Knight gonna end up falling. Brewmaster purposely backing away. Could get that Potion of Mana going for perhaps Earth, Storm, and Fire. And now we are still fighting again as we have seen more Siphon Mana. Another Fan of Knives. Brewmaster going to go ahead and get sent back home as the Knights are engaging. Mountain King with a big Thunderclap here, trying to slow down some of these bears as the Mountain King still has a little bit of mana. Are we waiting for a second Thunderclap? I'm waiting for it. No, there's that Thunderclap now looking to back up again. All right, a lot of low hit point Dryads. Those Dryads, are they going to be able to back away? Siphon Mana away from the Brewmaster. Brewmaster now, he tried to use he tried to use Breath of Fire, unable to because of the Siphon Mana. Used the Potion of Mana, tried to use Earth, Storm, and Fire, was unable to because he suddenly lost too much mana again. That Blood Mage has been the MVP of this battle, allowing the Mountain King to just constantly have an endless stream of mana, seemingly forever and a day. Mortar Teams walking past a Warden, normally very hazardous to your health, but the Warden has not been able to finish off that many targets as it's teleporting back off to the north. Siege Engine looking to take down that Tree of Eternity. It is 1 base mining versus 2. Night Elf having the slight advantage right now as one of the expos of HawK has, well, run dry. Avatar of Vengeance continuing the fight here. Druids of the Claw, we're actually fighting in Druid form. That's a little bit dangerous as we see a double level up. Mountain King and a Blood Mage. All right, more things are going to get taken down. There goes the Tree of Eternity. And with that, it is now 0 bases mining. And this game should be coming to an end, especially with the Warden falling at level 7. Level 7 Warden, level 6 Brewmaster, losing to 6-5 for Mountain King, Paladin, and Blood Mage. Beautifully played and executed by HawK. Great game overall here. I think it's just going to be a matter of time. So many close calls, but that Mountain King able to just constantly do so much. Staff of Sanctuaries working their magic, keeping these units alive and well. All right. Storm looking to do a little bit of fight back. Panda going to reappear where Earth is as Knight, Paladin, and Blood Mage looking to finish off these Moonwalls here. Supply count 16 over 100 compared to 60 over 84. Remember, well, heroes are also out for the count. The Warden is currently down and out, and still, what is going to end up happening now? Warden looking to get back into this game. Staff of Teleportation going to visit these Moonwells. Moonwells actually pretty dry at this point in stage, as there is still one Tree of Life trying to entangle this gold mine now. Knight's going to finish off these Ancients of Wind, just trying to clean up the rest here. Paladin with 20 armor. No wonder this Paladin doesn't have to really worry about getting taken down. With 20 armor, more than 50% of its damage is just getting mitigated fairly consistently. All right, overall scores, no big surprise. HawK winning in the overall score category, even though Dise had the higher hero score with a level 7 Warden and a level 6 Panda. Level 7 Warden, level 6 Panda couldn't shut down the expos of HawK, allowing HawK to build up an army of knights and maintain them with Staff of Sanctuary. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.